Welcome.
Shalom, family. Well, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to the live.
Yes. Guys, y'all should definitely check out the Testimony Thursdays we did yesterday. It's on the live section. If you did not see it, it's available for you because we interviewed a family that is in Ghana. They've been there for over a year. They have some beautiful land out there. They're like really making things move on the ground in Ghana. Right, Gigi? You want to be my co host today? Oh, thank you, Gianna. So, we're going to break down your 6 month strategy if you're looking to leave America in the next 6 months. You want to look out for a few key things if you're interested in staying long term. If you're someone that's like, man, I want to go to Africa and not have to go back to America constantly, I want to make the wisest move possible. I want to mitigate my risks. If you're someone that looks into things like that, if you're someone that values research, strategic advice, if you're someone that is like, hey, I don't want to just wing it. I want to do things properly and in order. Okay, we have like a whole list here actually, and I actually want to show it to you. You can actually follow along with this list by clicking the link in the description box because we created this guide and it is $25. So you can get that guide, and it's basically like a demo for the state of the diaspora that is coming up. It's a VIP day that's coming up January 12th, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern, but we have a break in there as well. We're going to hear from people who are expats specifically. The reason why they're expats is that before you move, expats are going to be the ones that are most helpful. Then once you're on the ground, you're going to be able to connect with the local community. Okay. So when you're preparing for your move, it's best to either consult with, get a course, get some kind of information from expats. Why? Because you have banking issues that you may run into, real estate, finance, visas. And then with Africa, it changes so often that even the things that were, how should I put it, even the things that were available in Africa in 2020 have now completely shifted in 2024. And so you really want to get advice from people who actually have ears to the ground and have networks in various regions. I was telling them about Save the Diaspora, how this is their demo if they're interested in mitigating their risks because they need to get information from expats and understand each region in Africa before making a huge move. For example, they wouldn't want to go somewhere where the corruption is increasing and then a year or two later they realize, oh, I could have went to a different place and actually had more for my money and not had all of this headache.
Yeah. What you saying? It just makes me think of you gotta have resources here, and the best resources is connections. You gotta have some type of connections. You gotta know the people on the ground wherever you're going. If you're going to Rwanda, Ghana, South Africa, Tanzania, Kenya, wherever, Ethiopia, wherever, you get what I'm saying. So you gotta know somebody on the ground, or you gotta have the information that is available for you before you leave and make this big move, because this is a big move. I know there's a lot of people that do a move like this. Shalom, shalom, family. But you when you talk to these people, they had some type of guidance, they had some type of research that they have done, they have some
Mm-hmm.
type of course or class that they took before leaving,
Right. That's
because
true.
it's very, like, I know you watching it and it seems so like, okay, I can do this, but when you really touch down and you look back, you like, man, I wish we would have, like, probably like did a little bit more, so we won't, or so we will avoid the situations that we were in. So
Yeah, I
that's
think
very important. That's very important.
yeah, I was telling them that from the standpoint, there's a lot of things that you can do in America while you're still in the West to make you have a successful move. Our move has been so successful because we knew, okay, we're going to have four different bank accounts, five different bank accounts, because we knew, okay, we're going to make sure our online business is profitable before leaving, because we knew, okay, I'm going to make sure that I make strategic connections. I'm going to start a channel and record this journey so that I have different strategic connections that are in place. Okay, these are just a few of the things that really matter. But I was looking at a few key factors, okay, For Americans that are considering a long term stay in Africa, again, if you want to follow along, check out the link in the description to actually purchase this demo to State of the Diaspora. This is about a fraction of the content we will be covering. There is a huge difference between what Africa was like in 2020 and what it's like 2024 going into 2025. The
Definitely.
name of the game in 2025 is longevity. The name of the game is longevity. I also want to preference by saying, remember, when we left, the world was closed. So we landed in Tanzania because it was the only place that was open. We were heading to Ghana, decided reroute to Tanzania because it was literally the only country that was open
And
in Africa.
that's so crazy to say. That's so crazy to think about too. That's
Yeah,
the
it's
only
a different
country open.
time.
That's so
It was a
crazy.
different time.
That's like wow. Yeah,
It
it's
was a
definitely a
different
different
world.
time. Yeah, different world.
It
Different
was a different
environment.
world.
But I'm glad that we got here. All praises to the Most High. Um, but yeah, that like
Yeah.
blows my mind when you said that.
That context is key because I see so many people choose East Africa, but I'm like, I think if the world was how it is currently right now,
Mm,
we wouldn't have chosen East Africa.
yeah.
We were heading to West. I want to preference that because that's so important, because there's a level of corruption that goes high in certain regions. Not saying that there's not corruption in West Africa, but something that West and Southern Africa both have in common, and Ethiopia is the exception. East Africa, Ethiopia is fabulous with this as well, is preferencing for African Americans. What do I mean by that? Ghana just passed over 500 citizenships for African Americans. Burkina Faso is saying, hello, fam. If you're from Burkina Faso, come help us, come rebuild. We're debt free. Benin, same thing. Togo, clean country, very nice. Senegal, visa free for African Americans. South Africa, there's a huge diaspora community down there,
Mm.
and it's visa free for Americans, okay? And so these are the things that you want to look at. You don't want to copy someone. This is even like
Or
great business advice. You do not, because when you're starting a business, I'm going to tell in two ways. When you're starting a business, you don't just automatically copy someone that's 10 years ahead of you. You need the context on why they do what they do. Same thing when you move to Africa in 2025. You don't just copy someone that's been in Africa for 5 years. You don't. You get the context behind why they're currently moving how they move. And you need to be able to ask yourself or ask that strategic advisor, hey, with all of the experience that you have over the past 5 years, what would you say is the best situation for me because of my XYZ industry, because of XYZ age, if I have goals to do XYZ? For example, Rwanda and Kenya are huge tech hubs for entrepreneurs that are in IT, right? But if you were someone that was more so wanting to be on the west coast of Africa because you wanted proximity to your family or you wanted your tribal roots, obviously you wouldn't look at East Africa. These are the nuances that need to be discussed when you think about moving to Africa in the next 6 months, or when you're ready to move to Africa in the next 6 months.
yeah, those are key. But you said something very important that people have to understand. Countries are being debt free, and that's what
That's power.
that's less than 100 years. Put it like that.
Mm.
And you gotta think about how where we come from, the states, America, the United States of America, their debt level, right? And
Ooh,
we look
wow. That's deep.
they've been a country for
1776.
yeah, it's been a long time, right?
Yeah.
And then our countries here in Africa, they're being debt free.
Or at least
Less
Burkina Faso,
yeah,
specifically,
less than 100 years.
and Mali.
And because they're stepping up to do something very, very pivot,
Pivotal.
you know what I'm trying to say. But that's very important. You really have to understand the times that we're in and how this is going to be a switch very soon. So you got to be in the right environment. You got to be in the right
Mm.
environment, like for real. Because that was very
Yeah.
like that's very important to understand and realize.
Ah,
Debt free? What?
yeah. We are
Hmm.
witnessing an African renaissance.
Mm.
We are witnessing the 60s on steroids. The 60s was one thing because of civil rights and all of that, and everybody got free. But it was like a shadow of being free. A lot of
Hmm.
African countries weren't really free until recently, 2022, when Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger said, "Get
Step
the
up.
heck out of here.
Yeah, they're
Get
stepping
out,
up, and yeah.
colonizers. We know we had independence, but this is the real independence. Get out of my country right now. You got 5 seconds to get out." They ain't really say it like that, but they wasn't
Yeah, you
playing.
got a year, yeah. And they took their sweet old time. At the last couple months, they got out. But and then that brings me to the connections that you gotta have, because I know we just touched on that too.
Yeah.
The reason why, or I'll say, the connections that they have with Russia is very important too, because that is a
Mm,
superpower too. Russia and
international
China, yeah.
connections.
So like, I'm pretty sure if they, I mean, you never know what could have happened, but that what that's what's come to my mind when they kicking out whole countries, and then they still got a good backup behind them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, connections is very very important.
Yeah, we're witnessing the African Renaissance. So let's get to these key factors for African Americans who want to stay long term. Again, check out the link in the description to receive this demo PDF of the State of the Diaspora. We won't cover all of it because it's 9 pages. It's going to be quite a long video if we cover all of it. But we wanted to pull out 5 key countries that are going to be great for African Americans in 2025 and beyond. And we're going to describe why we choose these countries. Okay. Number one, Rwanda. They have a low crime rate. That's super important in 2025 when we're going to continue to see World War III increase. You don't want to have to deal with crime, even if it's petty theft. Nobody wants to have to deal with that. It's
Mm.
just a nuisance. It's a burden. 2025, we don't have time for the things that we had time for in 2020, to be quite honest. Modern infrastructure. This is very helpful for people, even if you're someone that's like, oh, I can't wait to live like a slower life. You don't understand how essential infrastructure is in certain places. Okay. A lot of people have issues because they cannot figure out the infrastructure. Yeah, Claudia, it does go to the booking, but you click the booking, um, add it to your calendar, and then the PDF is in the message once you complete the purchase. It's in the message that'll be on Acuity scheduling. It'll submit the PDF to you right after. Okay, so modern infrastructure, especially if you are of retirement age, especially if you have very young children like toddlers, especially if you are someone that knows you have your grandmother, your aunties, your older family members, every African country will not be right for them. Okay, so you're gonna have to think about that. Or if you're someone with some type of disability, you're gonna need that infrastructure that Rwanda is able to provide. Rwanda is tech friendly and it has great healthcare access. A few recommended towns: Kigali, obviously, is the capital, Musanze, Rubavu, Hue, and Muhanga. Okay, now let's move on to Ghana. Let's go to West Africa now. Ghana is like number one in Africa. One, because they led the revolution in the 60s. If y'all didn't know, Ghana led the revolution for African countries to be independent in the 60s. Okay. So Ghana is very much number one. They speak English in Ghana. That's going to come in handy. They have the deep cultural connections. This is where you see your kente cloths, your traditional things that are going on. Some of, if you're interested in like going back to your tribal roots, understanding your tribe, then Ghana could be the right place for that, especially as it relates to biblical heritage. Ghana and Ethiopia especially stand out for those two things, okay, as it relates to biblical heritage. And then beach access. Ghana has incredible like travel realms, and like when you look at the beach, you look at the mountains, you look at the land, it's got a lot of rivers. Ghana is also number one for a strong community, top of the list. Why? Because they allowed themselves to be top of the list since 1960. Okay, and so some of the places that you can go there: Accra, Cape Coast, Tema, Ghana, which isn't too far from Accra, Kumasi, which is in the central region, and Aburi. Okay. Next, we have Botswana. Botswana does not have a huge expat community. Botswana is also very desert like. That's the caveat there. That's a little drawback. But it is politically stable. Like if you're like, I need somewhere that's going to be politically stable, I'm not ready for a revolution right now. Botswana is extremely stable. A little bit higher cost of living than some other countries that you'll find in Africa, but excellent infrastructure, English speaking, modern healthcare. If you're interested in Botswana, Gaborone is the capital. Kasane is another city you could live in. Mon, Francistown, and Sarowe. Okay. Fourth, Mauritius. Mauritius is on this list because it's visa free for African Americans, similar to Botswana. Okay. I
Mm.
didn't remember to say that. Botswana is visa free for African Americans and has a 5 year visa. Ghana also has a 5 year visa. Rwanda has a 3 year visa. Mauritius has a renewable premium visa. You can get it for 1 year, renew it up to 3 or 4 years, and then switch to a 10 year visa if you'd like. As it stands right now, Mauritius is the only African country that has a 10 year visa. Okay. So in Mauritius, you would experience a high quality of life, safe environment, beach lifestyle, modern amenities. If you wanted to travel to Mauritius, you would likely choose either Port Louis, Grand Bay, Tamarin, Black River, or Flick and Flack. Okay. Lastly, Seychelles. Seychelles is also an island nation off the coast of Africa that has visa free for African Americans, okay? Island lifestyle, low crime rate, natural beauty, and tourism infrastructure.
Mm.
Notice how we're highlighting a lot of visa free countries for Americans. Now, you may say, why does that matter? Visa free means I can come there and receive a visa on arrival without paying $100. I can come there and receive a visa on arrival without saying, oh, you got to leave every 30 days. You can usually stay in a visa free for Americans country for up to 6 months. You would stay for 90 days if they give you that 90 days. Usually they do because these are also the least corrupt countries. So they're not going to be reneging on their word. This is why the least corrupt countries are so important. All of these five
Mm.
countries are on the least corrupt index. And so you can come to these countries, stay, explore, figure it out, see how long you'd like to stay. Or, again, caveat, people don't really understand this caveat, but these are the ideal countries to go to if you're like, hey, I just want to put my head down, work for a while, save up, have a peaceful lifestyle, and then decide if I want to purchase real estate elsewhere. And then decide if I want to go to a different territory in West Africa. If you want to be somewhere where
Mm.
you can sit, work, and have peace, these five countries are phenomenal. Okay. And so in Seychelles, some of the cities that you may be interested in are Victoria, which is the capital, Beauvallon, Anse Royal, La Digue Island, and Praslin Island.
Seychelles.
Africa, by the way, is enormous. We were talking about this on Testimony Thursdays yesterday, how huge Africa is, okay? Like those little maps that we be seeing from, wherever you're from in the States, you're like, oh, it probably takes just like an hour to get there. When you're in Africa, no, ma'am, no, sir. This continent is huge. They lied to y'all. And so this is why
Mm.
it's even more so important to plan, like know what city you want to live in. What is by that city that you want to be in? Are you going to have access to electricity? Are you going to have access to running water?
Yeah.
Due to the locations we choose, we really never have lacked water or electricity. Now, in Tanzania, you may have a few electricity cuts, but nothing that's like drastic. We also never lacked water because we will always choose the wisest areas to be in. Okay.
Yeah.
We choose wise areas. We're not about to be nowhere um, struggling like that. That's not the goal.
Yeah, that's important to know. Because like we are talking about how big Africa is, and just from our experience, like living in Dar es Salaam, living in Tonga, seeing all these little how can you put it, counties? Like I
Villages,
guess no, yeah, it's
counties.
villages, but it's like for us in the states, you would call it like counties. So
True.
Columbus is huge. Columbus, Ohio is huge, but they still have, you know, Canal Winchester. You get what I'm
Well,
saying?
those were
Pickerington
cities.
and stuff like that.
Those were all in Franklin County, so
Yeah.
different cities,
So
some
yeah, I
different
guess
cities.
like Franklin County, but it's little villages like that everywhere in Africa where you can drive 6 hours and you can pass. I don't know. I can't even put a number on it. Like you can
You
pass so
pass
many
so much,
villages,
so much,
and it's their own city. Like they have a
so
main
much.
street, they have a couple main streets, where they get their goods and stuff, their resources, and you go back to the village and it's just huge. It's just land, it's houses everywhere, and that's just how Africa is. Even the country that we're in now, it's like, dang man, this thing is
Huge.
huge.
We thought it was tiny.
Yeah, it's
These
huge.
countries they tell you is tiny, child. They're not tiny.
So you just really got to know how to move around. You got to know what's close to where you want to be. That's very important. That's very important.
And keep an eye on each region because, again, guys, I can't say this enough how much Africa has changed since 2020, meaning the residents we have right now did not even exist in 2022. This is what we mean when we say this.
Mm.
Like, there is favor, massive favor that is coming out for our people if we're in the right spot to the point where you can have multiple residences, multiple citizenships if you're in the right position, meaning the right region, because every region isn't doing these things. Some regions are declining, others are increasing. Oh no, it went out. Is it dead?
Yeah, I keep an eye on it.
Okay. Well, yes, thank you, Ricky. Some regions are decreasing, some are declining, some are increasing. For example, Zambia. We have consistently heard great things about Zambia, have traveled there briefly, and people love it, and it's safe, right? On the other hand, you have countries like South Sudan, you have destabilization happening in East Africa a bit. Okay. So these are things that are like, let me watch out for these things. You have a revolution that's happening right now in West Africa, but it's still stable because, again, like you were saying, some of these countries are working with like China, Russia, and us as Americans, we're like, oh, I don't want them to work with China and Russia. But you gotta understand, these are grown people with
Yeah, these are whole
grown
countries.
kingdoms.
Yeah,
These people know their history more than you know your history. So at some point, you got to be humble and say, you know what? Let me not usurp my authority, which you don't even have over a
yeah,
grown kingdom. But my let me not usurp my fake authority over these nations that have their history because
exactly.
they know stuff that you don't know.
Like, what kingdom?
American.
What kingdom do you want to be a part of? Like, that's the question that you gotta ask. I want to be a part of no kingdom besides the Most High's kingdom. So you gotta move a certain type of way. Like, no matter what's going on in this world right now,
You
no
want to say
matter what's
something?
going on in this world right now, no matter what's going on around you, you still gotta seek the Most High and know that He's doing everything for a reason. Yeah, he's doing everything for a reason, and it just has to be done. It has to, things has to happen for that to come. His kingdom is coming, but we have to be strong enough. We got to be um, enduring to the end to be saved, to actually experience the abundance that the Most High is providing for His people in these last days, because it's really abundant. It's really abundant, and I feel like you will not experience that if you are stuck in your ways and don't want to grow, and you don't want to be you just want to be comfortable in the environment that you're in. Like, you have to travel, you have to learn new experiences to understand like these other nations and why they do certain things. Because coming from America, we would think like Russia and China, like that's
Horrible.
yeah, they're horrible. Like Saudi Arabia and Iraq and stuff. But traveling is starting to like put a more understanding of why people do certain things and why people like look at America a certain type of way. And it's like, wow, they really had us like,
Ooh.
yeah, they really had
Nah,
us
that's
fooled.
cool.
It's really like a spell over that whole nation right there, where if you do not step outside of the nation, outside of the states, you will not understand. You would just be like in a daze always. You just be in a daze always.
Yeah, even more so now. I think that days is even increasing. It's going to a new level, especially in the age of AI where people are going to literally be in a fake world. They're going to be on the VR, they're going to be talking to the robots that are cooking in their house and it's just like if you want to experience what living as a human is like, you should definitely travel to Africa because you will learn how to be a human the way we were created to be in the Garden of Eden. Like, seriously. It really is. It's like, it's that bad.
That's the truth. Like that is the truth. Like how do you have to be? How do you have to learn how to be a human?
Yeah. Living in America, you do. You look, you gotta figure it out. But yeah, y'all, that was the meat of this conversation. Feel free to leave your questions below. Again, to actually get this guide, it should now if the link doesn't work, I will update it. Let me double check. Oh, you clicked it. Oh, why does that do that? Technology, my friends. Okay, let me fix the link. I'm sorry. I wanted y'all to be able to follow
But yeah,
along.
guys,
And the technology
thanks
was
for
not on
tuning
my
in.
side.
Thanks for tuning in. Shalom, shalom, family. Make sure you like the video. Yeah,
And they
check.
want to do another pandemic so bad. Look at this disease X
Bet you
outbreak
supposed
through
to
the
be doing.
Congo.
Look, one thing.
Okay,
Look, it's so much stuff that be popping up.
I'll be like,
You
good
like, oh
lord.
snap! What they doing now?
Where did it work? It
Yeah,
worked when
shalom,
I was
shalom,
just
Ricky.
looking at it.
Hope all is well with you and the family. You know, what did you say? There's a full moon coming, huh? It's a full moon coming. Hallelujah. Um, yeah, check out Testimony Thursdays. That was an awesome conversation. I man, that's really something that the Most High like put on our hearts to do, and it really like I, I hope it helps the audience, but it really helps us to like. It's like wow, that's so great to hear how people are like the promise and the abundance that the Most High brings to His people. Like it's just great to see. So if you haven't checked that out, check that out. And yeah,
Mm,
you gotta say something, Joe. No,
what happened to that link? What is
but
going
yeah,
on?
guys, if you have any questions, let us know. Make sure you check the links in the description. We're gonna fix the links as we're speaking now. Stay Diaspora 2025 is coming up, and this is like a a quarter of the information that's going to be there. We're going to have some speakers in there to allow them to share their experience and give their information that people need because everyone it's not the same. So for us, we have 5 children, so we move different from somebody that has 2 children or somebody that only has or someone that doesn't have children. So little things like that you have to consider and realize, hey, this is Africa is different for everybody. Everybody has their own experience. So our suggestion is to just to get your finances in order, get your monthly, weekly, yearly finances in order to come here and get this promise that the Most High is allowing His people to receive.
Yeah, we've had some great developments even in Dream Life Africa, our best-selling e-course, where some of our clients are sharing the opportunities on the ground in East Africa. Like a lot of for teachers specifically, jobs are becoming available in Kenya and Rwanda. So if you're watching, you're a teacher or you're somebody that's in communications, you're someone that can have a transferable skill set into teaching, that can be advantageous to you. So, networking is everything. I know we're in a Liberian networking group. Before we left Ohio, we were in a Ghanaian networking group. We be in the groups, okay? We be in the networking groups, and then we have our own that is the largest we've seen from the standpoint of representing multiple countries. Dream Life Africa represents Ghana, South Africa, Mauritius, Kenya, Tanzania, Rwanda, Ethiopia, Zambia. I don't think anybody in there is in Botswana. And Senegal. Senegal. So and this is like our vision for Dream Life Africa even back in 2020 was like, hey, we don't want to just create a course that's designed for Tanzania. That's where we were originally. We knew before we ever left that we were going to slowly be digital nomads, establishing connections all over the continent. Okay, we were like, we want to establish connections all over the continent. All praises to the Most High. We have been able to do that and continue to do that by diversifying in each region and investing in each region. And that we really believe that that is the way that we should think as a people, because we think in terms of lineage. If you're someone that also thinks in terms of lineage, this will resonate with you. We think in terms of, okay, we have 5 children. If each of those 5 children has 3 children, that's a lot of children. And so we want to form strategic connections throughout each region so that our children not only are going to inherit property in Tanzania, but they inherit property in Ghana or maybe South Africa or maybe Seychelles, or they get to explore Namibia or whatever they like to do. We don't want there to be a cap on what they're able to do when our nieces and nephews come. When people continue to come to Africa, we don't want there to be a cap on what they're able to do either. Okay. And so that is our vision with Dream Life Africa and with everything that we put our hands to when it comes to traveling and doing business and living your best life in Africa, as we have been. So that's just a little context for you guys. But I think that about wraps up this video, unless you guys have questions. I'm just finishing up my coffee. The children are so happy. It was just raining, but now the sun's back out. You got to love it. And it's so fruitful. So that's the good life, y'all. We look outside, we see like some orange flowers down the street. All the flowers are blooming. It's like the best time. December is like the best time to be in Africa.
Yeah, yeah. Gee, don't do that, please. But yeah, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the information. Make sure you check the link. We just fixed the link in the description. So if you are interested, or if you are already plan on moving to Africa, make sure you get the resources before you go. Make sure you get the information before you go. And state of the diaspora um, is something that people really need to consider, because this is pivotal.
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 No, pivotal, not pivotal.
Pivotal.
Yeah.
Yeah, what she said. So, um, yeah, guys, that's it, and we're about to get ready to get going. Hope you guys enjoy your night, your morning, your evening, whenever you check the video out, and we will talk to you later. Shalom, shalom.
Have a good day or night.